That was incredible, man.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Will Calhoun. Unbelievable.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for coming to Drumeo.
It's great to be here. Thanks for inviting me out.
Absolutely. You're in for a treat with Will, obviously, as you can see. I've never really heard anything like that before and seen it all happen. And if you guys notice, he's got guitar pedals down there. He's got 2 pads. He's got all this electronic stuff all hooked up. So you're going to have to talk about that a little bit at some point here.
Sure, we'd love to.
Yeah, so everyone, welcome Will Calhoun. Thanks for joining us today. A huge thanks to Mapex, Dave Lawrence, Otto, and Paul for bringing him up here and setting us up with such an amazing, beautiful kit as well.
It is gorgeous, I must say.
Yeah, and a huge also thanks to Sabian Cymbals, Vic for Sticks, Evans Heads. You have here the Jam Cat.
Yes, brand new.
That's awesome. And you're using Schliessman pedals, which is very cool. If you guys haven't checked those out, they're very unique, and it's really cool seeing how you use them, too.
Well, thank you.
And Eventide as well. Thank
Yes,
them as well. And so it's going to be a lot of fun today. The topic that we're going to be discussing is it's a little bit of a wordy title, but it's very cool. It's frequency rhythmic assimilation.
Yes.
Now that's a mouthful, and I'm sure you'll explain what that all means in a bit.
Absolutely.
So if you guys have questions along the way, get them in. And if you guys want to follow Will, if you guys don't know, first off, Will is the drummer for Living Colour. He's an incredible musician, very creative too. But you can follow him online on Facebook at Will Calhoun. You also can find him on his website, willcalhoun.com, or on Twitter at Calhoun Music. Yeah. And Living Colour has a new album coming out. Actually, it's this fall, right?
Correct.
And you also have an album out called Celebrating Elvin Jones.
Yes.
And that's coming out in August as well.
Yes, August 19th.
So make sure you guys check him out, follow him online, and all that. And if you guys like what you're seeing here on Drumeo, if this is your first time watching this or you're watching this on YouTube, we do this kind of stuff all the time. We're just a community of drummers that obviously like to bring in amazing drummers like Will and chat drums, teach lessons, and help support you. So if you like it, just go to drumeo.com, check out what we do, and hopefully we'll see you on these kind of lessons more often. So with that all being said, man, I'm going to give it over to you and allow you to explain what frequency rhythmic assimilation even is.
Am I sitting down? Am I standing up?
You can sit down. Yeah, the camera is right in front there.
Okay,
yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you. Let's get to the individual words. When you talk about frequencies, you're talking about sound and how they work or don't work with each other. Bass and guitars play together. If you're a string instrument player like cello or violins, you play with an orchestra, with a quartet, string quartet, etc. Vocalists sing in a choir. Drummers really kind of learn their instruments on their own, so we suffer sometimes from frequency deficiency.
Frequency deficiency.
Which basically means we're not accustomed to how to blend our sounds, or I'll say we're taught in the beginning of our lessons how to make these sounds work with the guitar, with the bass, with the vocalist, with the organ, etc. We're used to just playing time, which is where all the horrifying drum jokes come from about not being a musician. The idea is to understand how the cymbals work, the sounds they give off, and how it blends with a rock guitar, a distortion guitar, a jazz guitar, just a voice, a whole choir. So when I discuss those things, one of the things I mention to younger drummers sometimes is to practice with another drummer. Set up 2 kits and jam. So when you hear the hi-hat, you don't play your hi-hat. You play something else that matches it. Maybe it's the rim of the drum. Maybe it's a cross stick. Maybe it's no time at all. That's the way I taught myself how to play with electronics, listening to what's already existing, the low end, the high end, the little hi-hat cheesy bits, and then you can say, well, if that frequency is being covered, don't interrupt that frequency, join it. Make it sound more romantic or more pissed off or whatever your emotion is for that song. Yeah. So when I talk about frequencies, we're talking about sound. One of the things why I mentioned this particular phrase is understanding how to marry our instruments with other musicians and with other music. It's a very important, overlooked thing.
Big time, yeah.
And it starts out with you really knowing your instrument. It's like having a conversation. You and I are speaking. We both speak English. You know, you talk about some sports, and maybe I don't know about it, so I say that I don't know, and we build it from there. It's just communication. It's the same thing on the kit. So I want to bring that into the forefront. I did a little demo because it was totally improvised. I had no idea what I was going to do. I played off of the delays. I played against the delays. I knew where the sounds were and how they were moving. So I can adjust myself to play soft, loud, in 3, in 7, in 9, in 4, because the existing sounds were there. What I never wanted to do was play in the space of what was already happening.
Why is that? What happens when that happens?
It happens. What happens basically is you get clutter. Other musicians might feel like you're not listening to them, and you're volleying for the same real estate, which could be annoying.
Yep.
One of the things I started doing in the early 90s was I was playing with 20-inch bass drums because that was the popularity of the 7-string guitars and the 6-string basses. And these instruments take up so much space in the PA. If you got a 24-inch kick drum, if you don't have a really great sound person, you can start to sound muddy and not just sound clean. I want to hear the drums clean and clear in the recordings and in the PA. So I know that I need a tenor kind of sounding kick drum because I'm playing with a dub band. And I'm not going to compete with the 6-string bass and all the low subs, and everybody now has amps with subs, and the clubs have subs, and it starts to just sound really muddy. So just understanding your real estate and how to make everything work together. That's the idea. Small snare drums, higher tuning, fat snare drums with lower tuning. What works in the music is a track with space, loosen the snares a bit, because when you hit that snare, the sound is longer when the drum head's looser. Maybe it's a ballad or kind of a chilled out Eagles kind of track, and you want that thud to go, to last 2 beats.
Yeah.
I prefer, for me, a higher pitch snare that's tighter because I want to be able to hit the snare and do roughs and do other things within the time. Tighter my snare is, the more room I have to try things out. I'm not stuck with that sound covering up 2 full beats.
Gotcha.
That's kind of the idea behind what I want to talk about today.
I love this concept, and I think you're totally right. A lot of drummers totally miss that step.
Well, we all do.
Yeah, we
Unfortunately,
all do,
it's not in the educational part of drumming, and it should be. We should be. I mean, it's nice to play piano and guitar, but we should learn early in our development. There's a bass player; it covers a certain range. There's a singer; he or she covers a certain range. Maybe this cymbal's too heavy. Go with a lighter cymbal. Maybe someone's playing organ and just an organ trio, organ, guitar, and drums. There's no bass player. You can play slower beats on a bass drum or tune your bass drum down to cover that frequency. These are the ways we should be thinking as drummers so we can make the music more pleasant.
Very cool. Now, we have a track, it's called Trance.
Yes.
And you wanted to play that so you can talk about it a little bit for this topic. So, Victor, do you want to get that track ready to go, and then we'll get you to play for us?
Sure.
Cool.
Just up front, I picked this track because it has an intro and it has sections. And I just want to talk about pacing yourself and being able to adjust the sections.
All right, sounds good.
But I am ready.
I don't want to see. So my mind cuts off everything around me, and I trance, make my own reality, and I trance, make my own reality.
That was awesome. So cool.
Thank you, man.
A lot of cool different parts in that song too.
Yes, yes, yes.
So what are you thinking about when you're playing to that song? All the frequencies and all that. What's going through your head?
Well, there's a lot of dig in this song. There's a lot of loops.
Yes.
Samples, stacks of voices, 4 different bass lines. There's little snare and kick drum samples. So I'm getting out of the way. The track is leading me. I don't want to push the track. So the track allows me to cheat in that I can sit back, because it's moving. It's an existing piece. Mm-hmm. So, you know, drumming is a very liquid art form, mm-hmm. where you can flow in between time and space. And I'm listening out for what's not there while paying attention to what's there. That's the idea. To hear the lines, know the verses coming up, setting up the next sections, sometimes very obviously, mm-hmm. sometimes very subtle, but these are the things you do on the bandstand.
Yeah.
Guitar solos coming up, boom. Vocals are coming in, bring you down.
Yeah.
You know, the shuffle's coming up, play a feel that sets up the shuffle.
Okay, yeah.
Things that give the band, because we're driving the bus from the rear. Mm-hmm. That's the idea of the drums. We have a heavy responsibility to make everyone happy, everyone feel comfortable, at the same time giving everyone their individual needs. Mm-hmm. So I'm listening out for what's on the track. I know all of those guys, so it's easier.
Yeah.
But it's a fun track to practice to and play to, because it gives me an idea of time and space and what I want to do sometimes, and leaving holes, what you don't want to play. Mm-hmm. Letting the track also breathe and allowing the track to have space too.
Now, you already mentioned a very cool tip about the bass guitar and the 6-string with the low frequency. Sometimes
Yes.
you don't want to use a 24-inch kick because that because it can muddy up. What are some other things to listen for that beginners can start recognizing when they're listening to a song that they can maybe take that and change what they're playing on the kit?
Very simple things up front is when you're studying drums, you're studying eighth notes, quarter notes, right? Half notes, very simple rhythmic ideas. Understand what those things mean, practice those things on your kit. So when you hear a pattern, you hear a bass line, you hear a horn line, you hear a vocal line, you really know what time it's taking up. So if you're hearing something like this, you know, maybe you want to play to fill that hole. Or if this, you wanna go. So understand the parts, understand what the bass player is playing mostly. That he's doom, like in dub, you know, your dub's like a thing where you're out of the way. The bass is dong 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 dong. You want to bass it around. And little things up top just to sweeten it a little bit.
Okay.
So listen to what's already happening for the younger players and be aware of it at all times. You don't have to play along with it, so to speak. You can play off of it, behind it, around, but you have to know it's there. It is the pavement you're driving on. You have to be aware of it. So when you see a pothole, you don't hit it. You have to go around it. That's the idea. So listen out for what's there and add without trying to cause too much confusion or too much of playing in the same area. There's a lot of room here to have fun and to be creative. There's a lot of room here to be creative. You can not play the hi-hat at all, just play the ride cymbal. There's plenty of things you can do. You don't have to follow the so-called drum rules of kick, snare, hi-hat, tom, fill, back to the hi-hat again. Great to learn it, good to have that vocabulary, nice to be able to have some type of academic structure in your playing so you can get to things quicker. However, your thinking can be much more open than the actual instructional learning.
So for drummers that might not be melodic instrument players, they're just rhythmic percussion kit players, what are they listening for in terms of frequency? Like, how did you get to the point where you recognized that that was going to interfere with my hi-hats or that was going to interfere with my bass drum?
It's an awesome question. Playing with DJs and making loops in the studio with people who make a big career and money out of making loops that know nothing about the drum kit. I won't mention any famous names, but I've gone into sessions with a kit where someone called me to play over their loops, and I actually put my kick pedal on my kick drum, and the producer was like, "Is that how that works?"
No way.
They have so many samples for years and years and years. They're pushing buttons. So when they're watching you play a double technique, or they're watching your foot slide, and they're watching you open a hi-hat, oh, whoa, and this is somebody you would never assume.
Yeah.
So it started out with me going in the studio, just so you know, it didn't happen to me by osmosis. I had to learn it. And people wanted you to come in, but it's like, don't ruin my loop, because I'm a genius and my loop is amazing, so don't come in here and screw it up. So they had these loops with 5 snare samples, 2 kick drum samples, a bass line, and you have to listen to it, and you have to make them feel like they're geniuses and play along with the loop to enhance it. So immediately I said, well, damn, there's 4 snare drums I'm hearing. One's muted, one's James Brown sample, one's to the pan to the left. What can I play on my snare or not to make this loop work? And you start to find your holes. A loop doesn't mean it's a metronome when you start playing whatever the hell you want over it. It's music. It's things going on in there. So I learned from working with these producers and these guys that were afraid of musicians. They were afraid of instruments because they're getting their bass and keyboards and guitar by pushing a button on the keyboard. They're not accustomed to hearing the snare ring or you playing technique and ride cymbals. It freaks them out at first. So I learned that, okay, I have to be careful because my background is academic drum set learning. And I love DJing. I'm from the Bronx. I'm from where hip hop started. I saw the whole thing happen. But at the same time, I want to really make this loop work. So I would take things away, play with one brush and one stick. And you audition it. You don't know right away. You put the loop on and you say, maybe this is the sound. Maybe it's not the stick. Maybe this is the sound. And this is too heavy. So you Try something lighter. That's just lighter because he already has hi-hat samples all over the track. Or you play. Because he already has taka 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 on the track.
Yeah, you don't need to
So
do that.
you don't need to do it.
Yeah.
But you have to experiment with it. It's not something that happens right away. The more you play that way, the more musical you're going to become when it comes to playing with other musicians. Because you'll start to hear what the bass player is doing rhythmically, not just the notes. If he's playing eighths, you should play quarters maybe, or half notes. You'll hear the music in a different way. That's the idea is, as a drummer, is your approach to things. If they want the straight beat, give it to them. You know?
Yeah.
You want a hamburger, serve it. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think musically, you want to be able to analyze the sounds and then just say, you know what? I'm going to play quarter notes on a hat, eighth notes on a hat. So listen to what's there and blend in. It's an exercise you can try with any form of music you love. Metal, funk, rock, jazz. Drum machines are the best because you can always fill up so much stuff on a drum machine and then take the bongos off. Take the congas off, take the cowbell off, and each time you remove something, what are you adding or not adding to make that thing happen? And record yourself.
Okay.
Because you're not going to find it by it happening. You're going to have to go back and go, number 7 is the one.
Yeah.
That's the hit.
So you record a bunch of different ideas and whichever feels the best. And
Yeah. That's
So-
the idea.
Do you have any loops, or can you maybe create a quick loop and maybe show us some ideas of what you do?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Great
that'd
idea.
be really cool.
Totally. I'll add a drum. I'll add mid, lows, and highs. So
Okay.
out of all fairness, I'm going to cover some frequencies and then
Cool.
I'll come in. Okay, sure.
Yeah, that sounds great. Very cool. Yeah.
So that idea is very simple things. Adjust first. So much bottom. You can play a pocket. Always landing on the one is safe. Boom, sack. I wanted to try that. I wanted to try something a little bit busy, but with the time still within the rhythm of the song.
Yeah.
Down the gun, go down there, boom. That's the idea. So you have different things. I wanted to just shoot through that as an example.
That's great.
So you can see what's there. You know, then there's dynamic things you can do, brush, stick, mallet, etc.
And all while keeping out of the way of what's going on.
Yeah, you can just, that's the guide. Take advantage of it.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, what about people who don't have the knowledge or the know-how or the resources for like a setup like this? What are some options for them to start getting into loops?
Get the cheesiest drum machine on the market.
The cheesiest.
I recommend them. I have tons at home.
No kidding.
Tons.
The old Casio keyboard,
the
whatever.
The cheesiest, amazing amounts of craft you can find in a machine.
Yeah.
And start with the disco loop, with the cheesy salsa loop. Just start. You don't need anything expensive or high end. You can learn this exercise from any machine.
Awesome.
And then as you start to, the stock programs usually are full of information. Find one, keep it in your bag, take it to school, take it to wherever you're going. I use them at sound check.
Yeah.
I piss a lot of folks off because I got 5 in the kitchen, 2 on the couch. They're just there because the ideas come and you want to be able to.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, any machine, because it's helping you think, create, and it's keeping your time. It's making your time really more solid. So you can start really simply. There's tons. I'm sure even there's cheaper things probably to download. I don't know.
Yeah, well, we have a ton of loops on Drumeo as well, like percussion
cool.
loops. And
Great,
it's a great place to start.
It's nice.
We have over 200 play-alongs, and that grows all the time. So, I mean, that's a great place to start, too.
Nice. Well, there we are. It's at home.
At home, yeah.
Practicing.
So do you have any other last-minute tips to kind of give before we kind of move on to question and answer? And you guys get your questions in for Will. Love this topic, but what else do you have to add?
I'll start with the younger folks with simple things like you're going to get out of it what you put into it. Practice is mandatory, and you must do it as much as possible. If you're young and you're home, piss off your parents now. Piss the neighbors off. Now's the time. Get everybody really well pissed off. And practice as many hours as possible. And you'll realize when you turn 25 and 30 how important that time was. Yeah. So abuse it now. Yeah. Protect your ears, please. That's your lifeline to being an artist and surviving and learning how to hear things properly. So whatever kind of ear protection you want to use, in-ears or phone plugs, these kind of things are very important to have to protect yourself while practicing as well. Yeah. Record all of your practicing, because you have a tendency, the human brain, to start out with the practice idea and venture off into some place in Disneyland where you shouldn't be. So if you have a 2-hour routine and you're working on double bass or double sticking or crossovers or what have you, really work on it for 2 hours and keep yourself focused. Yeah. This is a focus game here. It's a very serious one. So put that kind of time into it. I think those are more basic things, but I would say, and practice sticking. You may not realize, for you righties or lefties, that your lead hand is louder than the other hand because it's hard to tell on the surface. But I would record myself on a pad, which I'm not crazy about pads. I hope Drumeo's not selling drum pads.
Well, we might be.
Okay, sorry. Get the Drumeo pillow. How's that for clarity? The Drumeo, you can sleep on it and practice on it at the same time. Let's try the Drumeo pillow. Yeah. I'll do the first commercial for you.
All right.
Find a surface doesn't hit back. Yeah. Let the stick hit and it's going to build your tendons. It's going to control your dynamics, and you're going to be able to hear what's happening with your sticking sooner. So don't assume you're being even and you're not. If you practice on a gel pad, which is my favorite, pillow or blankets, when you get to the drum head, you're going to be so far ahead of the game in terms of technique and dynamics. Yeah. So that's something else that I recommend, is to make sure you're recording even your sticking, so your singles don't sound like daka 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 instead of daga daga daga, straight. So that's the idea. Those are some more simple things I like to add for especially the younger drummers.
Absolutely, man. Thank you so much.
You're quite welcome.
Yeah. So take this concept and listen, I guess you could say, to what you're playing and how it's morphing and blending into the song that you're playing too. That's the biggest takeaway here.
Yes.
Right? Let's get a couple questions if that's cool.
That's totally.
All right. Here's one from Ziggy. Ziggy says, "Hey Will, your drumming is incredible and I really admire your creativity," he says. "How long have you been playing for? Are you inspired a lot by tribal music or anything like that?"
I've been playing for a very long time.
Yep.
Been playing just a little over a year now, I think.
Just over a year? Sure.
I'm going to say 25 plus years, but thank you very much, Ziggy. Yes, I am inspired by ritual drumming and tribal drumming and ancestral drumming. I actually travel often to Senegal and to Mali, to northern Morocco, to Guinea to study ancestral rhythms and try to apply those to the kit, which is how I got to this bass drum on the side. It deals with me studying and getting field recordings, and I wanted to transfer the field recordings to my kit, so I put this bass drum here. And so, yes, thank you very much, and I am inspired very much by that, and I recommend to listen to as much music as possible.
Cool. Here's a question that came in from Michael Nevins. Says, do you know this guy?
Yes.
That's so good. He says, "Love this lesson. Will, can you talk about your grip? You appear to hold the sticks pretty far back."
Yeah. Yes. My grip basically, I had a classical teacher and I had a jazz teacher. Those are my two main teachers growing up. And my classical teacher was really hard on me. And don't lean your shoulders. You jazz guys all play the same. You funk guys all play the same. He was pretty hardcore, but I actually liked him because he pissed me off enough where I wanted to be like the best in his class.
Yeah.
And we got to be really good friends afterwards. But he talked about technique.
Yeah.
His thing was really to have the sticks to have leeway. My jazz teacher told me to stand up straight, stick my hands out, and he slapped the stick in each hand, and he said, "Now lift your hands up. That's your grip."
Oh, no kidding.
So I actually like to have the sticks, you can see here towards the back part of my hand, because I have more leverage room to play fast, slow, and if I want to choke it, I don't need to go down. I can still choke it here, and still use, fulcrum in my hand and my thumb to bounce the stick back and forth. So when you're playing fast things, it's sort of tapping that. I prefer to be back and to be into the kit. That's my approach to it. So yeah, I play pretty far back. I want to have as much room as possible and have leverage. When I'm in a stick and I have this kind of 60-40 thing, it's more work for me.
Gotcha. Southpaw Grandma says, "What about any advice for older beginners?" Because you mentioned for you youngsters out there, what about for the older drummers who are just starting out or getting back into it?
The rules are the same. They really are the same. You still have to put that time in. You still have to, because you're older, your muscles may be more developed, so it may be easy to get to things. Younger drummers are still struggling. Sometimes they feel like they can't play things, but it's really just muscle development. My advice for all drummers, no matter what age, is try to do the day-to-day mundane things if you're a righty with your left hand. It does help your drumming.
Yeah.
Brushing your teeth, pouring your glass of water, opening the car door, stirring your coffee.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised if you just say, for the next 3 months, I'm going to do all my things, my mundane things, left-handed, and you're a righty. When you get back to the kit, you're going to be more balanced than you ever could imagine. So drumming is life for those who live it. It's not a hobby. So if it is a hobby, have fun and enjoy it. For the lifers, don't take those serious moments out only on the kit. You should take those moments out in your life. So when you get to the kit, you're not adjusting. It's like, now I got to play the drums kit. Now I got to think about being ambidextrous. No, be ambidextrous every day if you can. Little simple things along that way can help you to develop your technique and it's left and right brain. You want to try to have some balance and be able to try things. So it's muscle development. It's not always, I can't play this or I have a difficult time playing that. Your tendons are not ready. Your technique is not ready. And it's not because you suck or you're not patient. It's muscle development.
Yeah.
So develop those muscles all the time. Develop that thinking all the time, where you're thinking about it. So try to take your life into your instrument. And it'll make it a lot easier to play every time you get back to it.
Love that advice. Hope that helps you out, Southpaw Grandma. Taylor L says, is there anything producers can do to make it easier for a session musician like yourself to come in and record over top of loops?
Yes. Send us the loops early.
Yeah, that's always nice, right?
As a producer, I would say EQ-wise, make sure the stuff sounds cool in our cans. And so, because we are playing kit to those loops, so we want to make sure the sounds are clean and clear, the bass drums, the snares. You don't want to have it compressed so much, and then when you go back to it, you realize, is that the way this thing sounds?
Yeah.
So as a producer, prepare, if you can, excuse me, not a joke, if you have the tempos marked, if you know what the tempos they are, you have a loop and you're doing a track for whoever, and you can send it to me before I come to the session, please do. I'll be more prepared in that way. But I would say make sure you know exactly the BPMs, and have it so it's clean and clear in the mix, and or allow options. If you can break the loops up as a producer.
That's good, yeah.
If you got just a hi-hat track and the jingle and the tambourine and the cowbell and the snare, if you want us to really have fun, separate the loop. And then we can adjust on our headphone mix. I need more tambourine, less cowbell, more bass drum, more snare. So that's good advice for the producer.
Love that. Ziggy has another question. He says, do you have any tips for beginner drummers who have just started jamming with other musicians with terms of this topic that we're...
That's Ziggy, great question. I was just talking to the guys earlier at lunch about etiquette.
Yes.
And one of the things I'm trying to do with younger drummers especially is watch or set up these lessons where you're jamming with people and you walk into a room. What's the etiquette? How are you speaking to the bass player? Talk about jamming. What song are we going to do? We're going to do Stairway to Heaven. Okay, who's playing the lead? What tempo are you doing it at? Are you coming in 8 bars in or 4 bars in? Is it just like the record, or you guys want to just jam on it? It's etiquette. You don't just go, okay, count it off. I don't know you, and we're jamming, and it starts to sound horrifying.
Yeah.
So, ask those questions. Just the same way if you're in a meeting, or you're in school, or you're somewhere you want to meet some cats from the football team, or the baseball team, or the chess club. What's your name? How you doing? What's your record? Oh, I'm a champion. Then you can start to realize that this guy's great. This guy thinks he's great. This person really is great, and you can start to understand, because we are driving the bus. Please remember that. It's the most difficult job on stage, where no one is going to pay you any attention and give you real respect.
Yeah.
You just have to know that going into this gig. That's why drummers are so tight. That's why we all get along, because we know.
That's why.
It's because we know when we see each other. It's like saying, how are your children doing?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I know. I guess a lot of times you get together with musicians, the first thing you do is sit on your instruments and all start jamming. So you're talking about that etiquette beforehand, just getting to know what everyone's doing, finding your rhythmic frequency that you guys are all going to be playing in ahead of time.
It saves time when you're going to play rather than play 3 versions of Stairway to Heaven really badly.
Yeah.
So maybe you can just talk out front. The more you discuss, the more you have clarity, the better it's going to sound.
I love that. So you call that musicianship etiquette? Or
Yes.
Yeah.
Must have.
There you go, Ziggy. Now, we're running low on time here. We got about 10 minutes left, and I wanted to let you play us out with something really cool.
Okay.
So I'm going to do that. Again, thanks, everyone, for watching. There's a couple questions we couldn't get to, but we'll get you out again, Will. If you're ever in the Drumeo area, if you're ever in the West Coast here, get in touch with us. You're always welcome.
I would love to come back. Thank you. You guys are doing a great thing. Thanks for inviting me.
I appreciate it, yeah.
Okay.
And again, thanks to Dave and Otto and Paul and Mapex and everyone for helping bring Will out here. And for all you guys watching, thanks for joining us. Hope you liked it. And if you do like what we do here, check us out, drumeo.com. You can even get a free trial at drumeo.com/trial. We're live every day, and we just hang out and talk drum. So it's good. It's a lot of fun. And Will, I'm going to get out of the room so I can watch you from the other side.
Oh, okay.
Feel free to have fun.
I'll figure it out somehow.
There's no time limit, man.
Oh, life is beautiful every day. Thank you very much for having me. And I'll be back, call you when I'm back. Thanks, everyone, for the questions. And nice to be in Canada. Nice to be here. Thank you.
All right. Cheers, everyone.